What's up, Zox fam? We're back with some more Etheria Restart. Now, we're going to be getting into a character overview of the Phantom Hacker, Kloss. And I feel like this is definitely one of those characters that a lot of players are going to absolutely enjoy, especially if you want the opportunity to rotate your opponents into oblivion. And so when we're actually looking at what type of unit Kloss is, she is a turn manipulating debuffer. And this is something that I would definitely say is a big aspect to having an excellent opener. It's not only is she able to do that, but she's also extremely fast. Now, when we actually look at what she has in her skill 1. Her skill 1 is going to be called Data Merge, and Kloss commands a drone swarm to strike, dealing 2 hits of 120% damage to a single target. And the final hit has an 80% chance to inflict 1 stack of hacking progress. Now, with the hacking progress, this basically is a debuff that each stack increases damage taken by 6%, decreases damage dealt by an additional 12% from the opponent, and it also decreases the speed by 5% of that opponent. And this will go up to 3 stacks. Upon reaching 3 stacks, Kloss will consume all the stacks at the end of her turn and is guaranteed to inflict the target with a 2-turn hack in. Hack-in is another debuff and what we would call a transformative debuff, which cannot be inflicted with hacking progress. 1, because it's a buildup, and that's just something that it ends up transforming into. What this then ends up becoming is a debuff that increases damage taken by 25%, decreases damage dealt by an additional 45%, and then decreases speed by 20%. This debuff cannot be purified. This is all coming just from the skill 1, and this is basically enabling you to basically make it to where the target takes more damage, they deal less damage, and they don't rotate on the turn meter as fast. So this is a ton of value in just one skill. Now, when we actually get to the skill 2, which is Tech Upgrade, Kloss is going to be able to do a couple of different things here. So Kloss deploys a force field with her drones, and the cat's phantom weaves through it, dealing 220% damage to all enemies with a 75% chance to inflict 1 stack of hacking progress. There's also a 80% chance to steal the target's strike prep and redistribute it evenly among all allies. Every 1 stack of hacking progress increases the steal amount by 10%, with hacking counting as 4 stacks. This is basically making it to where she is going to be one of the strongest turn manipulators in the game. This is a really potent and powerful thing because distributing strike prep to your allies is basically making it to where when you take strike prep from your opponents, you're then giving it to yourself, which is then going to be giving you in turn a turn push or a strike prep push. So this ends up being a high in value thing when you're then also still going to be building up the debuff stack for hacking in progress, and then it transforming into hack in once this hits 3 stacks. And of course, because this is an AoE, this is something that you can simultaneously be doing to multiple enemies, which makes this ability even better. Now, when we're actually looking at the final ability, which is formatting, Kloss projects the cat's EMP grenade, leaving her graffiti mark and dealing 260% damage to all enemies. There is a 100% chance to inflict a 2-turn defense break and a 100% chance to inflict 2 stacks of hacking progress on the main target and 1 stack on the others. So with this ability, basically what you're going to be getting additionally is that defense break of 60%. But the way that this works is that it is going to be an AoE where you technically can choose 1 specific target to be aiming at. And within that AoE, that target is going to basically have 2 stacks of hacking progress applied to them, whereas the others will then get 1. So yes, it is still AoE, but you can basically choose a target within this AoE that's going to receive more of the hacking in progress. And this ultimately would probably be the character that you want to either have dealing the least amount of damage, taking more damage, or going the slowest. Now, as far as module recommendations, I would definitely say first and foremost, Swift Rush on a 12 matrix bonus is going to be one of the better sets from early game all the way into end game for Kloss. She is an opener type character, and that speed value of 35% is going to be extremely valuable to her. Now, I would definitely say some others that I could recommend, for example, would be Time Weave. Time Weave is going to be giving you an effect accuracy of plus 18%, and at the start of the turn, there's a 35% chance to reduce the cooldown of all Animus skills by 1 turn. Keep in mind, you still need accuracy to land your debuffs and to be able to turn manipulate properly. So this is something that you also want to consider. Now, I would definitely say that once you get a little bit later into the game, some other sets that you can actually consider would be ones like Bulwark, which is basically going to be giving you a opportunity to get 10% HP, and then at the start of each wave of a battle, gain immunity for 1 turn. And then you also have sets later on, and I mean super later, which is going to be this Swift Raid set, which is going to be giving you an increase of speed as well as attack plus 20%. I would definitely say another set that you can also go for would be Swift Smite, which Swift Smite is actually going to be giving you not only speed, but effect accuracy. So you can pick between these two based off of what you feel like is more valuable to you at that current point in time, but this is something much later on your account to consider. Now, as far as main stat percentages that you want to make sure you're aiming for, I would definitely say effect accuracy is a big one, as well as HP percent. And even when you're looking at subs, speed is definitely going to be king for a character like Kloss, as well as, again, looking at effect accuracy. You could definitely throw in some other stat values if you want to emphasize a little bit more of the damage, or if you want to, say, make it to where she's not able to be debuffed nearly as much with things like effect res. But I would definitely say really amplifying her ability to manipulate and landing her debuff is going to be one of the most important things, considering that's the biggest portion of her gimmick, and also making sure she's as bulky as possible, just in case if she does take a hit, that's definitely something that she could be sustaining or being able to just deal with. Because when you lose a character like this, especially as a character that's helping you rotate or is your opener, that definitely can be a huge blow to any comp and honestly can cause a comp to fall apart. So just kind of be aware of that. Now, when getting into skill recommendations and prioritization, I definitely would say it would vary based off of whether you're manualing or autoing with this character. And the skill 2 or 3 could honestly be argued as just as much of a priority because they both are pretty important to the character. Now, I would definitely say I would prefer for this skill 2 to be invested first, simply because in the first node, you're getting the increased damage multiplier to 200%. You're getting in the second node, increasing the chance of inflicting hack in progress to 75%. The skill 4 increases damage multiplier to 220%. And then the very last one is going to be increasing your strike prep still chance to 80%, which is going to be a huge portion of the redistributing that's going to be happening in the strike prep stealing that's going to be happening, which I would argue is really important if you're trying to utilize her as an opener. Now, again, I think it is safe to say that the third skill can also be utilized as a first invested skill because it's going to be giving you in the first node here increased damage multiplier to 240%. You're also going to increase the chances of inflicting hack in progress and a defense break to 100%. You're also going to have the increasing damage multiplier to 260% on the third node. And then the very last node is going to be reducing the skill cooldown by 1 turn. So again, even with this ability, it's going to be great for your other allies to be able to be enabled, allowing them to deal more damage because of the defense break, and allowing you to also apply some of your abilities, debuffs, and of course, some damage as well. And then lastly, you're going to have the skill 1. The skill 1 is going to be in the first node, increasing the damage multiplier to 110%. Second one is going to be increasing the chances of inflicting hack in progress to 60%. The third one is going to be increasing the damage multiplier to 120%. And then the very last one here is going to be increasing the chances of inflicting hack in progress to 80%. Now, as far as some shell recommendations, I would definitely say in the early game, you would definitely aim for Unbridled Science. Another one that I would actually say is pretty invaluable is going to be ones like Star. You're also going to have ones like, for example, Amphibian, that's going to be giving you like Black Flag. Now, another one that I feel like is pretty nice is also going to be Shanghai Jing. You're also going to have one under Nico Nada, which is going to be Gigabyte. Lastly, I would definitely recommend, coming from Asarte, it would be the Big, the Bad Codex of Magic. Now, getting into our pros and cons with Kloss, I think it's really important to note that as far as her pros go, she's definitely an excellent opener. That's one of the big things that I really will say she brings to the table is that she's able to set the tone for the fight, allowing you to be able to get the optimal opportunity of getting your turn. And not only that, then also having the ability to also AoE defense break is going to enable your DPS to be able to AoE cleave and just be able to deal a significant amount of damage no matter what type of format or team comp you're going for. I think one of the other things is that because she has the ability where she's able to basically have the hacking in progress build up and it will evolve into a debuff that cannot be purified, this is an excellent ability when she's able to land it and makes her quite effective for you to be able to have damage coming in be reduced, as well as making it to where her opponents move much slower, which is ultimately going to make you rotate faster anyway, as long as you're having proper buffs coming in and just making sure that the opposing side isn't retaliating that to you. Now, with the cons, just as much as we can say that Kloss is a really insane unit for the hacking in progress and landing that debuff, I think it's also safe to say if she doesn't land that debuff, she also loses a ton of value. I think that that's one of the things about that ability is that it needs to land in order for it to not be able to be purified. But if it never lands to begin with, then you don't get the increased damage taken, you don't decrease the damage that you take, and then you also don't decrease the rotation of the opponent. And the other thing that can also be a problematic thing is if there's some sort of mitigation to action stealing and or absorbing and redistributing it. If you can't absorb the turn meter or the turn or strike prep to begin with, then there's nothing for you to redistribute. And that can also become a problem. And that actually would make her inherently worse than a character that just straight up pushes strike prep, because they don't actually require anything to be able to give anything. And so these are just things that you have to kind of consider. Even with the skill 3, if she's not able to land debuffs in the scenario, then that defense break really doesn't add any value. And then of course, the extra stacking for building up stacks for hacking also gives no value. So she's really reliant upon being able to land her debuffs. And if she's not able to effectively do that, then she doesn't really offer any value, and you would have a lot of other units be a much better choice. Again, I think it is also safe to say that yes, Kloss is one of the fastest characters in the game, but you definitely want to make sure that when you're utilizing her, you're rotating her into things that she can actually be effective against, and not into scenarios where she's not going to really be able to make use of her kit. So that's going to be that for Phantom Hacker Kloss. And I hope that this was able to give you some insight on how well this character can operate, and maybe even how to go about building and implementing this character. Now, with that, definitely make sure that you guys let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more Etheria Restart content like this, as well as podcasts and even more that we're going to be having on here, featuring a ton of different creators and even more exciting content. So with that, guys, everyone, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.